Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for another awesome episode of Bioenergetic Beats. I'm Heather Gray, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and certified bioenergetic practitioner. And this episode is brought to you by NIKKI, Unleash the Wellness Within. It's a non-invasive, easily affordable, and highly effective approach to wellness. It's a wearable device that puts frequency better based life on your hands and in your wrist. Make sure to stick around to the very, very end because we have an awesome giveaway that you're not going to want to miss out on. But you're not going to want to miss out on 1 minute of this episode. We've got two amazing guests. We got Miss Allison Butenschon and we've got Erica Carroll. And I think we were talking about butchering her last name. No, Butenschon. I think I said it right. Anywho, you might recognize that last name as she's got a famous husband, hockey player, those Canadians up there in their hockey. We love it. But anywho, we're going to get started today. We're going to go deep dive into Lyme, these stories, how these devices have helped, and just, hope, right? That's why we do this stuff is to spread awareness, to educate, and to give people hope. So welcome both Allison and Erica to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Hey, Allison, I'd love to start with you. I'd love to learn a little bit about your background. Most people don't get into this type of technology without some sort of a backstory. So what's your journey like with Lyme?
Okay. Well, I didn't know I had Lyme for years and years and years. I got it when I was 18. I was living in Banff and I was really, really sick. It was doctor after doctor after doctor. I was diagnosed with everything under the sun and misdiagnosed and then told that that's not what it is. And just struggled for years and years and told that there was nothing wrong with me. And when it came time to have kids, I went to the doctor and said, am I healthy enough? I'm not well. And they were like, there's nothing wrong with you. Anyways, proceeded to have my son first, debilitating symptoms after I had him, like literally could barely hold him or look after him. And was a little bit better with my daughter, but she came 5.5 years later. Both my kids, I gave them both congenital Lyme and my husband as well, as it turns out.
Wait. Let's pause. That's a really great point that not a lot of people know about. So what is congenital Lyme?
You pass it to the baby in utero. When you have active Lyme, it's a spirochete and it does enter the placenta into the baby. So you can give it to your unborn child.
Yeah. And you said that you also gave it to your husband. So that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Lyme disease can be sexually transmitted.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And he was playing hockey during that time. So yeah, so didn't find out that it was Lyme disease until my daughter was about 4. And I was living in Germany. My husband was playing there at the time. And we went to a clinic in Augsburg. Everyone knows it's sort of like the original Lyme clinic. And discovered, did some tests and discovered that it was in fact Lyme disease and multiple co-infections. And then they suggested that I test the kids as well. And we all tested positive for pretty much everything, really. Yeah. And that started our journey. And that was like heavy duty antibiotics. I had a PICC line, the whole deal. And it was just up and down for years. Like we tried everything. And every time that we would stop doing something or take a break from antibiotics, symptoms would slide back and we would do like a hard crash. But also it wasn't sustainable. And I was literally harming my kids by constantly giving them antibiotics and antivirals. They had gut problems and it was just neither of them really functioning or going to school. I wasn't functioning. It was a mess, just a disaster. So life kind of stopped for us for years and years. We just sort of hunkered down and tried new things. I mean, anybody could have said like, oh, I have this magic potion and it's going to cost you, $10,000, will you buy this magic potion? I would be like, yes, I will try anything. Like my husband was such a champ that way. We were just like willing to try. And it wasn't until I had sort of given up and thought, I'm just going to press pause on all things Lyme. There's something coming our way. I know that there's something out there. There's going to be something out there. And then this sort of fell into our lap. And it was actually Erica who, because I knew about the wave one and I had known about it for a few years, but I was skeptical. I was just like, oh, one more thing. Like, we've just tried everything. It's been so disappointing. And then Erica was using it. We met up in Whistler a couple of years ago through a mutual friend who also is now affiliated with Free Medica. But Erica was wearing it and was telling me about it. And that was the first time it sort of popped into my head of like, I really need to give this a try. And then someone was gifted, it was my husband's best friend, was gifted this from Stephen was gifted a NIKKI. And he gave it to me to wear. And I thought, what the heck, I'll try it. I started using it, but I wasn't using the Lyme program. I was using other programs. I was so sick. I was literally like, I knew something was going on, but I was like cross-eyed. And it's because I hadn't run the Lyme program first before doing that. Long story short, I get a call from Stephen who says, hey, I'm the guy that gave this to your friend. Why don't you do the Lyme trial? So we started doing the Lyme trial. I was completely like prepared for it to not work. I was prepared for it.
Absolutely. I remember it was funny when I started seeing things come across my social media because I'm used to using a lot of different frequency. And the last frequency tech I purchased was $20,000. So here I'm seeing this tech come across, and this was before it went on sale for $1,500. And so I thought, there's no way in hell this works. There's no way this works for $1,500. Like, there's just no way. And finally, it took about 3 times. And then I chased after Stephen to be on my podcast. And then once I met him, I was like, okay, I'm convinced. I want to try this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just is this magical thing that I still like. I think, how could something this simple have been so effective for us? Like, we had spent so much money in doing like complex things. How could something that you just wear and press a button, over time, make me feel so much better? And my kids are still, I'm not going to say struggling, but like a year ago, no one was getting out of bed. Like Saturday morning, we were like looking at each other. We're like up making breakfast. There's music on. Like, my son's got to go somewhere. My daughter needs to go somewhere. We're sort of like hustling around the house. And I just stopped and thought, a year ago, we're all in our bedrooms, covers pulled over your head, just feeling sick, not enough energy to even take a shower or make yourself breakfast. It's been so dramatic for us. Like I said, it's just some days I'm like, I can't believe it.
That's amazing, Allison. Thank you so much.
It's crazy.
That's amazing. All right, we're going to put a pause before we dive any deeper. We're going to switch over to Erica. Miss Erica, welcome.
Why, thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, tell us a little bit how you got involved and what your Lyme story.
Well, I'd say it's a joy to be here, but this isn't really a club I want to be part of, but I'm here. So for me, I grew up on Vancouver Island. One day I walked up Maple Mountain with my dog, came home, took my raincoat off, and I was taking off my sweater, and my tricep was exposed, and I just caught a glance in the mirror, and I just instinctively knew what it was. It was a tick in my arm, and I just freaked out, and I just threw my sweater over it and pulled it and threw it in the garbage. I was 16 years old. I didn't know anything. If I didn't have a bullseye rash, there wasn't going to be a problem, right? So cut to 46 now. Yeah, I didn't have any what I saw or thought were symptoms. Just gradually things started falling apart physically. And that's the thing that I think is so sneaky about Lyme, is that the symptoms come on so gradually and you start losing the ability to do things so slightly that, as you know, if you look back over 20 years, you can see the decline, but I started, I had, my neck was sore, and then, my shoulders locked for some reason. And then I started getting really bad anxiety and hypoglycemia. And then it was like, I got in a car accident, and what a surprise. All my joints, my whole body got really sore just from a tap of a bumper, My body was reacting so extremely to just small stimulus. And then I was working in film and TV as an actress, and I was building my career through my 20s, and that's pretty all like consuming. So my health, the headache, the pain, the eyes, the skin, the stomach, all of those things, the zapping pain in my body, it was just like you just dealt with it because I was busy living, trying to live. I went to so many different doctors. You've got fibromyalgia, you've got chronic fatigue, this is related to your mother's death. Like they literally don't say anything. And I always remember circling back. I would always just be like, I was bit by a tick like when I was 16. Is that something we should test? Should we look into that? No, you're just depressed. Take these pills. Or you're just, maybe your iron's low, or you're gaining weight because you're 30. Like, okay. And so, yeah, it just kept getting worse and worse. And one day, I just remember being with some friends. We were having a meeting, and I was sitting there. I was in so much pain, and my head was in so much pain. My eyes, like my eyesight was messed up. And I was like, guys, I think I have chronic pain. It's like, I think this is what people call chronic pain. I just figured, how do you know? You're inside yourself. You don't know what other people feel like. You don't know. I just figured everybody felt the way I did, but they don't. They don't at all. And they don't struggle to keep up as much as we do. So in 2015, I went to film in Russia, and I got a couple vaccines, just recommendation from my doctor. And after that, all hell broke loose. Yeah, so I experienced a rapid decline in my health, and I kept trying again. I was struggling, and then I got a couple more in the spring, and then that was it. My nervous system, I just collapsed, and it took about a year coping with those symptoms with lots of meds and stuff, to then finally I found a Lyme literate naturopath in BC. After a friend came to my house and said, I got a friend who just got diagnosed with Lyme disease. And I was like, you know what? That's the one thing like I never got an answer for. I went, got tested, boom. And a bunch of co-infections and all that. And so now I was dealing with that, a lot of fallout, and a couple pretty serious conditions, and then the Lyme and the co-infections. Funny thing is, my story, I knew a guy who had been involved in creating this technology, and he just so happened to be located up the street from my house, like 2 blocks away. In fact, he had worked with my dog who was sick at the time. He's a little bit of a wizard, I guess. And I was told by another friend that I have that he was getting, this technology was being developed with some other people, and that I should look into it. And I didn't trust it because I was like, it's too easy. It's right down the street from me. It's, I'm like, I'm very cautious.
Funny how all 3 of us were like, yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. But then I'm at this dinner party one night, and this girl's like, "Oh, I know someone who has Lyme. My friend's aunt who lives in blah blah blah. You should give her a call." I call her. Turns out it's the same device as the person who's down the street from me. And yeah, I just invested, and this was the very first generation of, what's that one? First generation.
Yeah, you guys have got the wave. Yours is the first generation of the wave, and then now we're going into the NIKKI. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the second generation, because I had this one that was like this clunky thing. It was like $3,000 at the time, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, I put it on, and I could only do 5 minutes at the most. Like, the herxing was so strong. Little did I know I was also living in mold. Didn't know I was. So then all of my symptoms were also compounded. Everything was made worse by the mold. But I started with the device, and it took quite a few months of I got a lot of zapping. Like, I was always, my nervous system was jolting and zapping. And then the newer devices came out with the upgraded what are they called, programs, and one that had, they had mold, because at the beginning it was just the Lyme protocol. And so I had moved out of my house and was living in another space, and I thought, oh, I'll upgrade and get the Lyme, or get the mold program, because obviously that's something I'm going to be sensitive to. So yeah, I haven't got the NIKKI yet, but perhaps I'll invest. But yeah, just a little quick story. I am not healed. I still experience a lot of symptoms, but I can sit up, and I can walk, and I can talk, and I can think, and I can sleep. So I know those don't seem like big deals to people who are normal, but
A quote unquote normal.
yeah, little do they know. Yeah, like, I think I've improved a lot, but I think my situation was quite complex, and the the downhill slope was quite lengthy before I got treatment. So I do a lot of other treatment on top of that. Most Lyme people know they have to detox, they have to help that process along. I use PEMF, I use like red light therapy and all the things. So oh yeah, so a couple months ago, I got a new device that I was going to try out for 3 months. And so I stopped using this, which I use on the daily. And I use the PEMF on the daily, red light. And so I stopped all those things just so I could see what this specific device could offer me. And I was in a lot of pain. So only last week I put this back on after speaking with Janice with the company, and put a different setting, the nighttime setting. And I consistently have pain down my spine throughout the summer, and it has gone down considerably in less than a week, which I'm just like, oh, okay. Just taking that break from this, I'm starting to see how much it was doing and how necessary it is for me to keep wearing it while I'm doing other things as well. So
we've had a couple stories like that of people who took advantage of the 30-day money back guarantee, right? They're like, it didn't work, didn't do anything. They sent it back in, and then it wasn't until they stopped using it then they realized in all the ways that it was helping them out. And then they're like calling us back going, I changed my mind. Can I buy it back from you? So that's actually a kind of a common story that we hear, because especially with bioenergetic work, it can be so subtle, right? Sometimes, and just like how subtly we got sick, some of us, subtly we get better. And sometimes we forget how bad off we really were until, like you said, you stop using it. And then you're like, holy cow, why am I not functioning? So, and it's also a beautiful reminder that there's no one size fits all. That, and I get a little, as a practitioner, I get frustrated with people who are like, I tried it for a month and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, what was your sleep like? What was your diet like? What was your nervous system like? What was your detox like? And they're like, well, I haven't really been doing anything else. And, I eat McDonald's 3 times a day. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way, right? It's not a magic bullet.
And I think too, people who have had Lyme and are experienced with the process of healing from it, our gauge is so subtle. you know, for me, it's like, oh, I woke up and I could think this morning. Like, that's, most people just get up and they do their things, but it's like, there's, yeah, the things are so subtle that we have to clock and be aware of and chart to recognize that we have progress. And so people who've just been living and busy and distracted, they don't notice how subtle this process is. So, you know, maybe that's a bit of a gift from all this for us. We've become Jedi masters of the subtleties of health.
Jedi masters, Jedi.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, no, I actually talk about the gifts of Lyme quite often, and there's a lot of people, depending on where they're at in their healing journey, look at me like I've got 3 heads and I'm the devil by talking about, you know, gifts of Lyme. But really, once you kind of get over a little bit, there really are so many gifts of Lyme. That's a whole nother podcast. But this is a beautiful spot. We're going to take a quick pause. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to the very end, because like I said, we got an amazing giveaway that you're not going to want to miss out on. So stay tuned.
All-in-one wellness for Lyme sufferers. NIKKI plus Lyme is designed to overcome Lyme symptoms and support a better life following recovery. NIKKI plus Lyme offers the most advanced bioenergetic science in an attractive watch-size wearable. Lyme is the fastest growing vector-borne disease in the world, with over 500,000 cases diagnosed each year in North America alone. NIKKI brings non-invasive, drug-free, and doctor-endorsed frequency technology to the symptoms of this debilitating chronic disease that defies traditional approaches to recovery. NIKKI is revolutionizing the fitness-focused wearable world with technology designed to go beyond tracking to actually improve wellness and performance. Be better. Do better. We are NIKKI.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to jump into more of the hopeful part of the show, right? The first part, we kind of get into the heavy part, the story, but we do that so that you can hear a piece of your story in somebody else and hopefully resonate, right? Have some validations, because there's still a lot of folks out there who aren't getting diagnosed as quickly as really they need to be, right? There's still a lot of, practitioners out there that are still a little on the ignorant side, and it's funny. I just actually had Dr. Patterson on my podcast not too long ago. She wrote Women in Lyme, and women are notorious for getting diagnosis a lot later and a lot less than men are, because we have hormones and we have babies and we have these other things that sometimes we get dismissed on when we go to the doctors and we say that we have energy problems or we're gaining weight, like Erica said, oh, it's because you turned 30. That's BS. Like, just because you turn 30 doesn't mean you just automatically start gaining weight as a woman. Like, it's insane. But that's why I love having these conversations. And so now we're going to get into the hopeful part of this. So ladies, I would love for you to, give us a little bit of, some of the positive experiences from using the device, things that you noticed, things improving, and how it all works.
Well, for myself, everything has improved. I think that for me, it has been so incredible that I actually forget sometimes how sick I was. Like, it's hard to even remember what life was like and how much I struggled to just
send you some texts.
What's that?
Send you some of your texts.
Please. It's kind of a miracle. Like, I just kind of dropped out of life for the last 10 years. I just wasn't, I couldn't function. I couldn't make plans. I couldn't hang out with people. And now that I'm back to, I'm not going to say I'm 100%, because there's still stuff there. And I do have some bad days where the brain fog, like, especially if I haven't charged the NIKKI, or I'm not, have given it to someone else to wear for a couple of days. I think that the fog sometimes will creep back in, and then I'm reminded how far I've come, because it does kind of like, it gives me anxiety to remember what that feels like, how difficult it is just to move in this world, to not be able to handle much noise or people talking, or, you know, the busyness of stores or life, or even to be able to make plans and actually keep them. Like I just couldn't. I just came across as like the biggest flake ever. And all the while totally faking it through life. Like I never really wanted anyone to know just how bad it had gotten, which I think we all relate to.
Do you remember when we first met?
Yes.
And
I do.
our mutual friend introduced us, and she was like, she has Lyme and she has Lyme. And we were just like, just getting to find someone who just understood. I mean, that's why these podcasts are so important. I've listened to so many podcasts of people with their experience, because this thing can be so isolating, because you have to isolate yourself because of the stimulation and everything. And it's when you can just kind of lay back and listen to someone else, it just makes it feel so less lonely and validated.
It's isolating. Like I wasn't living, and I wasn't even sure I wanted to live. Like really, like it was like, what's the point? I'm not functioning. I can't do anything. I struggled to make a doctor's appointment and actually make it to the doctor's office for that appointment. That was so daunting for me to even get in my car and drive. Like it just, I mean, anybody with Lyme understands what that's like, but I don't feel that way anymore. It's been so incredible for me. I know that, Erica, you didn't get the same sort of quick benefit that I have, but yeah, this has been a real game changer. I'm back.
Amazing.
Living again.
Well, what kind of, how does that, I know when I was younger and undiagnosed, I didn't get diagnosed till my kid was 9 or 10. I'd been sick since I was 13. And, so his whole childhood, right? Early childhood was with a very sick, reactive, out of it mother. What kind of a mother were you then, and how are you able to show up for your kids differently now? And what kind of a gift is that?
Ooh, well, I mean, they have Lyme too. So, and they don't know what it's like to not have Lyme, where I actually have, I know what the before is like. They don't. I guess having Lyme makes you incredibly, incredibly empathetic. I think that I always had so much empathy and compassion for them and myself in early motherhood. I mean, I obviously felt like such a failure just because there was no gas in the tank to do things ever. It was just such a struggle. But honestly, they were also struggling as well. We were all on the same, we were all at the same pace. So I think my situation was a little bit different because they both were sick all the time. My daughter was sick all the time, in and out of hospitals, didn't know what was wrong with her. I mean, they told me she was dyslexic, and then they're like, she'll never read and write. And then she started Lyme treatment and then started reading and writing. And they were like, maybe she's autistic. And then very quickly after Lyme treatment, she was suddenly not autistic. How crazy is that? Think of how many kids are struggling that's what it actually is. I mean, we were all going through it together, the kids and I. We still are. I mean, it's,
What's powerful about that though, too, when you were speaking about gifts of having Lyme, the idea for a child to have these symptoms and have a parent who could recognize it, who and was going through it, and from the adult perspective versus being a child and trying to figure out what's going on, which is amazing. And then
I can't imagine what that would be like for a child, for those parents that have no understanding. That child just suffers silently and is shamed for their illness and not being able to do the things that other kids are doing. I just can't imagine, in a way, it's a curse and a blessing that my kids, they ended up with Lyme, but we were in it together.
One of the things too about just a positive aspect is that we become so hyper aware of the symptoms, and now I'm able to, I'm sure all my friends are like, you think everyone has Lyme, but the way that I've been able to help other people because of what I have gone through, and how many people I've actually helped find a diagnosis, even though they're really resistant to it, because Lyme testing isn't the easiest and most affordable thing to do. But yeah, just the fact that you can help other people hopefully catch it sooner. I was 20 plus years of decline before I caught it. Well, before I found out I caught it when I was 16, but anyway. So yeah, there's some benefits, I guess, that we can take out of it. So.
Oh, for sure. I think it changes you as a person. I think it makes you a better person. I really do. You have so much compassion and empathy, and you want to help other people because you know what it's like to need help and not be able to ask for it or not want to take help.
And our capacity for being able to hold someone when they are experiencing the fallout. Even for Allison and I, texting back and forth at random hours of the night, her in a flare or me just in a brain fog or whatever, and even when you started the device, like, she was able to message me and be like, is this normal, and just
probably lying in bed crying every time I would have a flare. I would just cry and be like, okay, this is it, I'm going down. Like,
yeah,
Erica, what do I do?
are you taking binders? Some basic things. Anyway,
We built a pretty good community. Lyme people tend to like band together because it's pretty hard to understand. And now that I'm feeling better, I even have I have a hard time remembering how bad until I'm,
I got no problem remembering. None at all.
But I mean, that's part of it too, because I've lost so much of my memory because of like short-term memory, long-term memory. Like, it's during the sickest days, when I was really in a fog, they're a blur. They're really a blur.
That's the thing when I think about my career choice. I think that because I had to learn so many lines and do so many auditions and stuff, it kept my brain very active in that respect. Like, I had to keep honing that tool. So I'm so grateful, because I honestly think that really helped me not lose a lot of my neural, parts of the brain. But
for sure, because your brain is neuroplastic.
yeah.
I honestly think that the Lyme for me hit my brain the hardest. Like, that was the most debilitating of my symptoms, were brain fog. And my vocabulary just, is ridiculous. Like, I used to have this great vocabulary, and I would be like, what's that word? Like, what's that person's name? What's that word? What's, the thingamathing? Like, so frustrating. So frustrating. Mm-hmm.
Tell me, Erica, how do you use your Wave 1 these days?
I usually I put it on every day after my shower.
That's awesome.
I tried to do the nighttime thing. Some people put it on their ankle and stuff, but oh no, it's bright. Like, if there's any light in my room, I'm awake. So, and putting it on my wrist and stuff doesn't work for me at night. But the daytime, once I got all the NIKKI codes and stuff too, because I can put it all on here as well. I just made a point of making sure I was using it every day. And as I said, 3 months ago, I stopped using it. And it's funny because this is just a habit. I just put it on. I honestly don't even give it any thought or any credit. Like, I was just like, it's a thing I do. I don't know. Does it work? I don't even know. And then I took it off for 3 months. And now I'm humbled by it. Now that I know that, I'm just, it's interesting. But just on a daily basis, I wear it probably 6 or 8 hours, depending. I'm pretty much at home most days. Like, I'm still not back out in the world, so it's just on my wrist. Yeah.
What about you, Allison?
Sometimes I wear a few devices at once.
Oh, stacking, fancy.
I do. I just like hit all these different programs, depending on what I need. And I just make sure that I do the Lyme program every single day. And then, and sometimes I'll do it multiple times a day. I'll just keep hitting it because there's so many different frequencies in there. And then on top of that, I'll add other things depending on, like, stress or whatever, depending on what's going on.
See, that's the
Allergies has been crazy. Actually, this story is kind of nuts. I've had really debilitating allergies for years and years. And for the first time, I've had no allergies. Like, I run that allergy, like as soon as my eyes start to run and I start to get like stuffed up and get that feeling, I run the allergy, everything stops. It's crazy.
I believe it. My husband will sneeze and sneeze and sneeze, and I'll be like, put on your NIKKI. He puts on his NIKKI every single time. Sneezing stops. It's not just a coincidence. Oh, at one time it stopped. Every single time it stops.
There's a difference on this one. I don't have the ability to kind of change settings and things like that. Mine's like a set program. But what is interesting, just hearing you speak about the allergies, 2.5-3 years ago, I think, I got the mold setting, and I had moved out of mold. Now, I had such extreme vertigo, I could not stand up, and it would come back during, mold season, like at the beginning, when we changed from summer to fall and then spring into summer. Vertigo. Those were the 2 times in the year that it would come back. I haven't had it for 2 years. I haven't had any vertigo. I took the device off in July, and at the beginning of September, I woke up with level 10 vertigo. Like, I was like, what is going on? Was it like, the Lyme game? Was it this? Was it the air? Forest fires? Was it did I go into a moldy building? All of these different things. And I'm working through it all with my husband, just being like, what could it have been? And I was just like, I put it back on, and the vertigo's gone. So
that's incredible. Definitely. That's huge.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking, I cannot move my head. Like, I'm lying flat and I can't even turn to the side. It's that intense. So, it's cool. I'm glad I took that break. I mean, I'm not a fan of getting vertigo, but it's just nice validation.
Wow.
That it's doing something.
Those are both just absolutely incredible stories, both of you. I'm just so impressed. And like I said, very different, but still very hopeful in their own rights. As this episode comes out, we'll be launching the new NIKKI plus Lyme. And so before, it was either you had to wear like the wave 1, like what Erica has, or you wear the NIKKI. But now people who already have a NIKKI can actually get the Lyme frequencies on the NIKKI for an added cost. But it's so much easier, because as Erica was saying, that she can't like pick, and choose like we can with the NIKKI. It's got a touch screen, and we can just scroll through of like, oh, I'm needing a little bit more energy today, or oh, I have stress and anxiety. I love the ease of that. So that'll be launching at the day that this podcast comes out on October 18th. So super exciting. But ladies, I wanted to thank you so much for joining me today. And make sure, so the exciting part is we love our customers so much that we want to show our appreciation, and we're going to give away a NIKKI on every single episode. So make sure that you go to the show notes, and there's details in there on how to enter. Good luck. And thank you for joining us. And for everybody else, make sure that you go to We Are NIKKI/podcast and enter in BioBeats for a 10% off discount. So we love to give back, and we love it if you would like, share, and subscribe, because that's how this information gets out there. Just like Erica was speaking at the beginning, is that she learned so much listening to podcasts. That's how I became a functional practitioner and learned that there was another way, was listening to podcasts. So don't, if you were inspired in any way, shape, or form, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Everybody else, have a healthy day. Thanks for joining us.
NIKKI plus Lyme is an evolution of Wave 1. The same bioenergetic frequency science that brought relief to Lyme sufferers around the world is now captured in NIKKI, a watch-sized wearable that enables wearers to address issues and enhance performance with a wide choice of frequency sets. Put a better life in your hands and on your wrist. NIKKI plus Lyme frequency set is designed to help you get back to the life you enjoyed before Lyme. After 45 days, you also gain access to the NIKKI Platinum Suite of 8 frequency sets and 5 frequency set bundles. Every NIKKI comes loaded with a full inventory of frequency sets, including pain, energy, travel, immune, stress and anxiety, viruses and bacteria, allergies, insomnia, daytime bundles, nighttime bundles. NIKKI puts a personal wellness center in your hands and on your wrist. A better life, guaranteed. If NIKKI doesn't improve your wellness and sense of well-being in 30 days, send it back for a full refund. Free shipping, free platinum set of frequencies for life, 30-day money-back guarantee. NIKKI, be better, do better. We are NIKKI.com.